Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Get myself straightened up a little bit. Thank you. Sorry for the reflection, but I wanted to put my readers on today. I'm going to have a special guest give their commentary pertaining to this breaking news out of Alabama. Chris Thorns is going to join us. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining me. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you.
And also DHR, along with Child Advocacy Center and our EMA. It's been a joint effort. Yesterday, about 8:26, our office received a call of a young juvenile female walking in the roadway in the area of 3547 County Road 34. I think most of you have been at the scene. During the initial investigation, from the information that we received and collected, we were able to arrest Jose Pauline Pascal Reyes of this same address of 3547 County Road 34 for kidnapping in the first degree. And he was arrested in Auburn, Somerville Circle, by the Marshal Service and the Auburn Police Department. During this investigation, overnight investigation, processing the residence, we have found located two decomposed bodies that were found currently at the Department of Forensic Sciences pending the identification. At this time, our district attorney, Mr. Jeremy Durr, will make some additional comments in regards to the charges.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thank y'all for coming out. At this time, we're looking at multiple counts of capital murder, along with kidnapping in the first degree. And of course, once we continue and finish our investigation, I feel certain that several more charges will follow. Thank you.
We will entertain a few questions in regards to, this is a very fluid investigation. Things are changing, and we do not want to jeopardize the identity of our juvenile until we get other information from forensic sciences and be limited in giving you that information.
Are you all releasing the relation between that 12-year-old and the person in custody? And do you all know anything regarding the relationship?
We're not at that stage to be able to release that information, the kinship or relationship. We do not want to infringe on what's going on behind the scenes. Thank you.
Sheriff, according to court documents, this 12-year-old juvenile was tied to a bedpost for about a week, was drugged allegedly with alcohol, but somehow was able to chew herself free from those restraints, get out into that road, and flag down help. Can you confirm that information that is in the court documents, and what do you want to say about this 12-year-old's perseverance, sir?
First of all, what stands in the affidavit, we stand by that affidavit to be able to procure the kidnapping warrants. And I would say she's a hero, and it's one of those things that we're going to get into later. We're gave her medical attention, and she's safe now, and so we want to keep her that way. And that's basically all I can actually say.
Have you been able to locate any of her family members?
We're not going to get into that right now.
He said that you expected additional charges. Is that because you expect to find additional bodies, or have you found additional bodies besides the two that you just mentioned?
I will say that we expect additional charges just based on interviewing all participants. And we feel that more charges will follow these.
And there was, as far as I know, there was no missing persons report out for this juvenile. Am I mistaken in that, or was nobody really looking for her?
Now, the first contact we had with her was yesterday morning when the pacifier was able to stop with her, and they reported to us, so she was not considered a missing person.
Sheriff, the two decomposing bodies, do you know how long they had been there? What location of the mobile home were they found? And do you know if they are related to the little girl?
Yes, all this is pending the identification through forensic sciences. We're not going to get into where they were found or who they are at this time. I hope you understand.
Okay, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Global News was the source for that information. We're going to go ahead and tell you who the parties are that were found decomposed and dismembered in that Alabama trailer. Let me do a little research on something first. Thank you all so much for joining me. Get comfortable. There's something I meant to look up before I went live. Sorry about that. Let me see. Okay, before I get started, the suspect, which is a Hispanic male, was apprehended by U.S. Marshals in Auburn, Alabama. Auburn, Alabama is 29 minutes from Dadeville, where this horrific crime took place. Thank you for joining me. Now we can commence with the information. NBC source number one. I may feed off of the other news outlets just so you can have a source. But NBC had the most detailed one that I found thus far. Girl chewed through restraints in bold escape from week of captivity in Alabama. The suspect is charged with the killings of Sandra Vasquez Ceja, 34, and boy under 14. A kidnapped 12-year-old chewed through her restraints, breaking the braces on her teeth to escape a week of captivity in Alabama, investigators said Tuesday. Her escape led to deputies discovering the bodies of her slain mother and brother, who officials believe were killed by her mother's boyfriend, Tallapoosa County Sheriff Jimmy Abbott said Wednesday. The girl was abducted July 24th and tied to bedposts for a week, while Jose Paulino Pascal Reyes, 37, kept her in a drugged state with alcohol, according to a criminal complaint filed Tuesday in Tallapoosa Circuit Court. She was found walking on an Alabama road Monday morning near the mobile home she shared with her mom, brother, and the suspect since February, Abbott said. Let me repeat that. The child was walking on a stretcher highway near that mobile home where she was kept captive that she shared with her mom, her brother, and the suspect since February. A passing motorist stopped to help and stayed until authorities arrived and found the bodies a short time later, according to the sheriff. We tried to preach this. If you see something, you need to say something. Amen, Abbott said. You don't need to go down the road and say, what should I have done? And then you find out this happened, because I'm sure there are more motorists who passed her that day. Exactly. Pascal Reyes has been charged with kidnapping, 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of corpse abuse, court records show. He's accused of smothering Sandra Vasquez Ceja, 34, with a pillow and cutting her body into pieces in order to hide evidence, according to criminal complaints filed Wednesday. Tallapoosa County Sheriff Jimmy Abbott at a news conference after the rescue of a 12-year-old girl who managed to escape from captivity Monday. The younger victim was identified in court papers only as a boy under 14. His death was caused by the suspect striking him with his hands and feet, a complaint said. His body was also cut into pieces in an alleged effort to cover up the crime, according to court documents. The kidnapping and slayings happened July 24th, with the abduction intended to violate or abuse sexually, the complaint said. The 12-year-old had broken braces from chewing out of her restraints, authorities said, adding that deputies observed marks on the victim's wrist indicative of restraint. The suspect on Wednesday faced a judge for the first time, and he was ordered to remain in jail without bail. His court-appointed defense attorney could not be immediately reached for comment. The sheriff called the girl a hero and said this was one of the worst crimes he's seen in his 53 years in law enforcement. It's kind of hard to put into words, Abbott said Wednesday. All of them murders are bad, but this is horrendous. I've seen lots of homicides, and this is horrendous. NBCnews.com is the source. I will now bring up one of our wonderful YouTubers, Mr. Chris Storms, to give his commentary pertaining to the allegations against the said girl child, boy child, and the mother. Thank you for joining me.
Hello.
Hello, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm great. Thanks for joining me, good friend. So what do you have to say of what I've just read to you?
Oh, shit. I didn't know you were live yet. I ain't even heard.
Oh, you were busy? Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
You need me to recap some of the information?
yeah, go ahead.
Verbatim. Well, I'll go by verbatim. That's fine. That's fine. So I know you're busy. But thank you for joining me. 1 week, no missing persons report. So that means nobody reported her missing. She, her mother, brother were living in the trailer with the suspect since February. They do believe that this was a case of kidnapping the child, the girl child, to sexually assault her. The family members were dismembered in pieces. They do believe he killed her, the girl, to hide evidence, I guess, from the mother. So perhaps this is a case of child molestation. I'm not going on record, but that's how this sounds. Is that perhaps he had been molesting the child? Maybe the child had said something. But the eerie part of this story, besides the deaths and the dismemberment and child molestation, sexual assault, I'm sure, tying the girl child up for a week, is that she had to have watched him do all this in order to repeat it for this to be in the affidavit.
Well, I guess one of my first questions is, but again, I haven't had a chance to read it.
That's okay.
I'm texting right now. Do this guy know the family?
They lived with him. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, he lived with the family, or they lived with him, rather. They lived with him. Dadeville is 29 minutes from Auburn, where he was found on a construction site. So I'm now piggybacking off another source. He was apprehended 29 minutes away in Auburn, Alabama, at a construction site working. And another source says, and this is the part that's really going to make you really wonder what the hell's going on. When authorities went to the house, how about there were other people there? Shut up. Now put that on paper. You got a little girl tied up to a bed that you probably, 9 times out of 10, we're going to say probably, you've been sexually assaulting her for a week and probably more. There were other residents there. Don't know who they were. They're not elaborating at this point, but that's in a source that I have in another article. So what the hell were you all doing there while this little girl was tied up and these other 2 people were dead and cut up in pieces in the trailer? I'm done.
You know,
I'm done.
Me and you been doing this for quite some time. You might be doing a little bit more than me. I don't know, but I haven't catched up. We both doing it.
3 years.
We've been doing it for years, and a lot of these stories, you know, you just cannot comprehend what's going on.
I know.
You just can't. You know, no matter how hard we try to put our minds together. You know, the audience try to put their mind together, like, you know, what really happened, and everybody come up with their theories. Everything get the right to come up with what they what's going on. But you said they've been tied up for a week.
1 week. No missing persons report, because a reporter asked that question. Was there a missing persons report put out on, the child, anybody else in the house? No missing persons report. So that means she had no family, or what happened? People were calling. Nobody lived nearby. Huh? But what I'm saying is, don't you talk to somebody, the mother, the children? You see what I'm saying?
Well,
and then he lived out in the middle of nowhere. So that's even worse.
Yeah, that's even worse. I wouldn't trust nobody like that no way. But wow, okay. See, this is why I stress so much to people, especially women. Y'all have to be careful. Y'all put y'all children around. I mean, it just is. You gotta be careful with your children around. You gotta be careful when they come stay with you. One of it's male or female, both parties are crazy.
Yes, they are. Oh yeah, because I got a Memphis story for you.
Golly. Okay. But here's my thing right here. Just going off what you told me until I get a chance to read everything.
Okay, let's go.
So, the last few stories I know I covered is dealing with this. And I'm wondering now, is CPS somehow involved in this story? Have you read anything about CPS?
No, nothing has come up about CPS.
Because I know the last few stories I've done, CPS has been involved in some form on some way. But you know what? This story sounds almost like this young lady who I just covered the other day by the name of Money. This guy, she stayed with her grandmother, and this guy got caught by the security guard because he saw him come picking up that girl and taking her to the house, and she supposed to be tied up and bound. But the thing about her, she survived. So now I'm hearing this again. You know, it's like it's apparent now.
Yeah.
While these freaks and these pedos are coming from.
Yeah.
It's just like all of them got a cell phone link or something. Everybody just got a message saying, "Hey, it's time to go be nasty now." Everybody's coming out to work like that.
And let me also piggyback off another source. He is an illegal immigrant. How do you feel about that?
Oh God.
So let's go there. Because I chop up everything I talk about. You've moved in with a man. Don't know how long she dated him. What were the circumstances for her to move in with them? Why nobody was reaching out to try to find the woman? Because that means if the little girl was tied up for a week, then that means they were all, murdered and dismembered in a week. So nobody's coming out to say, "Hey, I can't hear from my sister, my cousin, my auntie, my whomever. Where are the parent? Where are the father of those children? Do they have the same father?" Then you got to count. Lord, I lost my train. Because it's too much. Because it's so many questions. It's so many questions you can ask with, has school started yet? Let's go there. Has school started yet down there in Alabama?
Yep.
How long had he been touching the little girl? How long had he been touching her? Because I'm not going to believe that this was a one-time thing and everything jumped off that day in that trailer. Well, something else I want to ask too, but I can't think. Go ahead. It'll come to me.
Well, as of right now, I just got a text saying that my guy, he's out here, so I got to go.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry, I haven't read up on it. Give you much help right now, but
that's okay. Well, I'm getting ready to play some commentary from al.com, and everybody knows that it's an Alabama news source. So I'm getting ready to play these ladies' podcasts, and they're going to chop up whatever information they have, and you can listen in to see if there's anything new added on. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That's Chris Thorns. Please go to his channel to check out his content. He talks a lot about missing children, abused children. So please check out Chris Thorns' content. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this network, $DeGanchi 129 Cash App. All stickers and chats are welcome during this live. Yes, to recap those coming in or just viewing, a young girl out of Alabama was kidnapped. She escaped, because I didn't finish fully explaining everything, I guess, pertaining to what went on there. She had braces. Her braces were broken from chewing through the restraints. I do not know what she was restrained with. Wrists, but she chewed through them and had wore braces, and the braces are broken from chewing to free herself. It is believed that this is an act of sexual assault against the child, and that is the motive for the kidnapping and the murder of the mother and the brother. These children and the mother were living with the boyfriend, who is now in custody without bail, down in Alabama. I believe that's Tallapoosa County. He was brought in 29 minutes away from a job site, construction site, down in Auburn, Alabama. This crime took place in Dadeville, Alabama. Rural, very rural. When you see the pictures, you will see it's in the middle of nowhere. The child was walking down the street, once freed herself, and a passerby picked her up and called authorities. She has now been seen by medical officials and assumingly would be in state's care naturally. Where were her family members? Did anybody try calling the mother? Did anybody try to come by the house? Were they friendly with the neighbors? Anybody that's close proximity next to the trailer? Does this man fully own the trailer? And what I meant to say to Chris that I forgot while talking is that he's an illegal immigrant. So how did he purchase a car? You gotta have a documentations to buy cars, driver license. If he's illegal, how does he have a driver license? How does he have an ID? Whose name is in the trailer? Whose name is in the car? How long has he been working for the company he works for? Or does he work for himself? We know a lot of illegal immigrants will work for themselves or hired on by people who know that they are illegal. So let's say he works for a company. That means you have to know that he's illegal. Thank you, Nubian. Thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you. God bless you. That means you have to know he's illegal. And some are going to question, why are you all still hiring illegal immigrants to work? We understand that this is the land of the free, but we are all born here, most of us. So we have documentation to prove our citizenship. So we have the right to roam as we see fit here. Is it fair for others to be here? So we're going to talk about all that, because that is very valid in this situation. And this is one of the things that we've heard politicians talk about, why we don't need illegal aliens here for this very story I'm speaking on. You have a Hispanic male living in this country, abusing children, now murdered. God knows what else he's done since he's been here. How long has he been here? How long has he lived in that area in Alabama? Who does he work for? Does he work for himself or a company, corporation? Why some of you can't understand why we all need to be legal. This is the reason why we need to be legal. So you can track people. Because let me tell you something about this one here. He's bold enough to assault a child, kill the mother, kill a baby boy under the age of 14, beat him with his feet and hands, smother the mother, assault the girl child, tie her up, and then walk out of that damn door and go to work. Didn't flee, because that's probably what some people are going to think when they hear U.S. Marshals found him. You're thinking, oh, he must have went on the run. Hell no. He ain't going to run out. He went to work. Went to a job site. So is this his usual job site? See, you have to ask all the questions. They didn't apprehend him in Mexico, Costa Rica, South America, New Jersey. 29 minutes down the highway in the great city of Auburn. Many people have heard of Auburn University. At his job. He didn't run. That's what you need to know. I'm going to play you my next commentary. Thank you for joining me. And thank you, Chris Thorns, for joining us. This is by al.com. This is a major source of information and news down in Alabama. I have used a lot of al.com's commentary on my storyline pertaining to Camille McKinney. So if you want to verify any information pertaining to this story, I would recommend al.com as a reliable source of information. Thank you for joining me. This is a 10-minute long video.
Joined by L.com reporter Carol Robinson. Carol is here today to explain a story that we have all been talking about in the last day or so, and it's a bizarre story about how the kidnapping of a 12-year-old girl has led investigators to a home with 2 decomposing bodies. Now, Carol, this story made national news when it was broken the other day. And again, this all happened on Monday, but kind of walk me through the way that this story unfolded, and then we'll talk a little bit about the investigation and the new details you're learning.
Sure. It began Monday morning about just a little before 8:30 a.m. when a motorist was driving, in rural Dadeville and saw a 12-year-old girl walking alone on the side of the roadway. Something obviously made her felt that something was wrong, and she stopped and picked up the girl. And that sort of just opened the whole investigation into, where she had been. Which led them to the suspect's trailer, which was not far away from where she was found. And inside they found 2 decomposing bodies. The suspect was gone. He was arrested overnight, Monday night, by Auburn police and U.S. Marshals in Auburn. And he is now back in Tallapoosa County, obviously being held without bond.
So the suspect, again, was not very far from this mobile home at the time he was arrested, just in Auburn from rural Dadeville. And also, one thing before we get a little bit more into this investigation, tell us, did that 12-year-old girl, now we do know they've not released a lot of details about her or her identity because she is a minor, but they did say that she is safe right now and she is physically okay at the moment. So did that 12-year-old lead authorities to the trailer?
That is our assumption. They haven't said that. What we did learn from court documents is that this all began on July 24th, and that this 12-year-old girl had been tied to a bed for most of the week. She had chewed her way. She had been given alcohol to keep her in a drug state, is what the records say, and was able to chew her way through her restraints to break free. So much so that it, according to the court records, it damaged her braces on her teeth. So she had gotten out. We don't know what she heard and saw, but we can only imagine that it was pretty horrific. We assume that she told authorities, that she had been at this trailer, and that is what led them there. We have new court records today. As we know, the suspect has also been charged with 3 counts of capital murder and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse. Just released court records within the last few minutes show that those victims appear to be an adult female and then another child. He is charged with capital murder during a kidnapping, capital murder of a child under the age of 14, and capital murder for 2 or more people in one act. And still going through those records, because like I said, they literally came out just before we started. The corpse abuse will be leaving them there and the decomposition.
Right.
Well, and again, I know this is new information as well from the story that you had already published about that 12-year-old being restrained and being tied to a bed, and again, chewing her way through her restraints to the point that it damaged her braces. That is new information that you've learned here through court records. Carol, this sounds like something out of a horror story. I think people have only ever read about these things maybe online or in books, and it's a little bit jarring, I think, for a lot of people, especially who live in East Alabama, to realize that this was happening just right maybe down the road from them in Dave.
And we still don't know, what the relationship is between Pascal Reyes and his victims. Authorities are pretty tight-lipped at this point with good reason. They've got a lot to investigate. We can assume, I think, that the 12-year-old girl was related to this woman and this child because no one had reported her missing. And, you can presume, educated guess, that if she was not related to these victims, that somebody would have been missing her. But we don't know what the suspect's relationship to any of them.
That's a good point there. And we should say, again, the suspect, his name is Jose Paulino Pascal Reyes, and he is a 37-year-old man, again, who lived not far from where that 12-year-old was found by the passing motorist on County Road 34 in rural Dadeville. Now, Carol, again, I know authorities are being really tight-lipped about this. You're really learning a lot from court records here, but do we know about the condition of that 12-year-old when the motorist passed by? Obviously, there was a reason that motorist stopped and was able to say something is wrong here and call police.
Right.
Do we know the condition of that 12-year-old?
We don't know. They have not said, and I have not been able to do a deep dive into the records yet, except to say that, she had been drugged for much of the week, and again, that drug was believed to be alcohol. We can presume that there was probably some still in her system when she was found, because 12 is young, but not young enough to be walking on a road by yourself, depending, on the road. So I think there had to have been something that caused alarm, thank goodness, in this motorist to stop and pick her up. And I believe she's in DHR custody. She was checked out, and the sheriff called her a hero.
Well, and also, again, those two decomposing bodies, so far, the charges that Jose Paulino Pascal Reyes is facing are, again, a kidnapping charge, first-degree kidnapping, and 3 counts of capital murder, along with 2 counts of abuse of a corpse in connection with those 2 bodies. Now, the 3 capital murder charges stem from those 2 bodies, and again, those are capital because they were committed according to authorities and according to court records during the course of a kidnapping, and also that one of the bodies, again, was a child under the age of 12, and also that 3rd count stems from it being murder of 2 or more people. Carol, we know that you mentioned a minute ago that the only information they've released so far identifying about those 2 bodies haven't released any names or other identifying factors other than being a female and a child. What else do we know there? And again, what else do we know about their relation to each other?
Right now, everything has been kept pretty much under wraps. Obviously, as this winds its way through the court system, we will learn more, and it could be that the sheriff's office will put out additional information. This morning, the sheriff, Jimmy Abbott, described this scene as horrific and the investigation as exhaustive. I think they, multiple. We have the SBI, we have Homeland Security, we have the FBI, and we have multiple county and local agencies helping. I think it was, just a very intense scene until they were able to get Pascual Reyes in custody.
Well, and again, looking through some of the questions here that are rolling in, we can say, just again, not an educated guess here, that 12-year-old who kind of broke this investigation open, and those 2 bodies were not her parents. Because again, we do know now that one of those bodies was a child. So it could be a parent, but the other one, it was not a set of parents. I think it's fair to say.
That is fair to say.
And you've also said that there were no missing child records in relation with this 12-year-old.
There had been no missing reports issued about the 12-year-old girl.
Oh, thank you. And we do know at this point, again, that 12-year-old girl is at least physically safe, according to authorities. Have they released any other information?
No, they just said that she is safe. And that's all. And they want very much to protect her identity, which, of course, as this winds its way through the court system, will be harder to do.
Right, absolutely. And Carol, I know, again, they are wanting to protect this victim's identity. They are wanting to keep a lot of things close to the vest right now because this is such a large investigation. It is still ongoing. As of last night, there were still law enforcement officers on the scene there at the suspect's mobile home. Fair to say they're probably still there at this point and still working through evidence. Carol, what do we expect is going to be next? Do we expect law enforcement to release more information, or do we expect this to unfold a little bit more slowly in court records?
I think it will mostly unfold. Court records are always a wealth of information and contain more than authorities are willing to let go of especially in the initial stages of the investigation. What we don't know is a lot about the suspect. We know that he moved into that mobile home probably around February. We don't know a lot about him. And
we know that he is 37 years old and he is being held right now. He's taken into custody in Auburn and he is being held in the Tallapoosa County Jail pending a bond hearing there. And I would be surprised, and Carol, I'm sure that you would agree, we'd both be surprised if he was let out on bond.
I don't see that happening. I will say that
you hope.
I failed to mention in the court documents was that the 12-year-old
is Alabama
had been assaulted in the head. They did not go into any details, but she had been assaulted at some point during her captivity.
And we don't know at what point that was. Again, we know that you learned in those court records that she chewed her way through her restraints, damaging her braces that were on her teeth here. Now, Carol, I know these documents were released just before we went live here, so you've got to go dig into those. I'm going to let you do that and assure everybody that you will be keeping us updated on AO.com with what you already know, what you are learning right now, and what you will learn in the days to come.
Absolutely.
Carol, thank you for all of your information here, your expertise, lending it to us.
All right, that's al.com if you need verification. I just got a notification while this commentary was playing, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up. It's pertaining to this story. Hold on one second. I thought I had got some information. Well, let me see. Well, maybe not. Let's see. I could have sworn I thought they were sending me something. I'm going to go back in here and recap to those in the viewing audience what is transpiring down in Alabama. Thank you all so much for joining me. Sweet but odd crowd here in Utah. Well, they're odd everywhere. It doesn't really matter where you go. Everybody's a little peculiar these days. I brought you all a detailed source about this storyline from NBC. I'm going to read another storyline because the thing about a story is that reporters talk to different people. So you're going to get a little bit from the news outlet that first broke the story, plus different variances of the storyline. So I've piggybacked off some other information to bring you what NBC.com had to say, such as he's illegal. That came from another source. And as I chopped it up with Mr. Chris Thorns, how long has he been here in the country? You know, as they're saying in this commentary, what's his relation to the children? My understanding, the girl child and brother and mother were staying with this suspect in his trailer in rural Dadeville. Okay? So I don't know that he's their father or a father of one of the children, just that he was the mother's boyfriend. Go figure. Mother 34, suspect 37, held inside of a county jail now. No bail, facing multiple charges right now, including capital murder, plural. And he's getting that extra charge for the decomposing bodies of the mother and the brother, besides the murder of the two. Very crazy. Al.com is my second source of information. Thank you all so much for joining me. No, you don't know people. And that's another thing about this story. Who's all dated this man? As I said, how long has he been in the United States as an illegal alien? Who all has he dated? Does he have other children out here in America? Does he have children back wherever he came from? Who are his friends, associates? Who are the damn people that were sitting in the house when the police went there to investigate? Let's really chop that up. Because that means you were in the house with dead bodies, and you know dead bodies smell. So you would stay in the house with dead bodies. You had to smell it. And the little girl had to be the witness to the murders in order to give the information to the police to bring forth in the affidavit. Because how do they know what actually happened in that house? Because the little girl was a witness. Or the other people told it. How about that? The plot thickens. Are we now saying that the other crazy people that were in the house told authorities what the hell happened? And guess what? How did you all find him at the job site down in Auburn? Come on with it. Queen does her homework. I ask all the important questions. How did they find the suspect? Because you got to remember, he's not legal. So that means he ain't got no social security card to track where he works if he works for an official company. So who told it? The little girl or the people in the house? And what the hell were you all doing in there? With a man who done killed two people, beat them to death, suffocated them, cut them up, and they're smelling in there. And a little girl tied to a bed, and you don't know that she's in that room tied up. And you know he was sexually assaulting her. Come on, stay woke. Giving her alcohol. So were other people in there assaulting her? Ding! Were other participants assaulting her? Who are these people? How many people? Man, woman, child, all men? What are we saying? And we know that a lot of Hispanic people, men, live together, groups, as to save money. We don't have to sugarcoat anything. This was uploaded the 2nd of August by Al.com. Kidnapping of 12-year-old girl leads Alabama police to two decomposing bodies. That is the suspect. Jose Paulino Pascal Reyes. A 12-year-old girl walking alone on an Alabama roadway sparked a kidnapping investigation that also led authorities to 2 decomposing bodies. The investigation began just before 8:30 a.m. Monday when a passerby spotted the girl walking in the area of 3547 County Road 34 in rural Dadeville, said Tallapoosa County Sheriff Jimmy Abbott. The motorist picked up the child and immediately called 911. Abbott said a team of state, local, and federal investigators worked over the next 24 hours to arrest a suspect identified Tuesday as Jose Paulino Pascal Reyes. We'll show the photo one more time for those curious to what the suspect looks like. The 37-year-old man is charged with first-degree kidnapping in connection with the young girl and 3 counts of capital murder and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse in connection with the bodies. He was taken into custody in Auburn. He remains in the Tallapoosa County Jail pending a bond hearing, Abbott said. As I've already told you, because this is information from days ago, he is being held without bond. Investigators searched Pascal Reyes' residence, which was near where the girl was found, and discovered 2 decomposed bodies. The remains have been sent to the Alabama Department of Forensic Science for identification, but I've already brought you information that they are her brother and her mother. Naturally, they go on to say they can't tell you anything about the investigation. It's a fluid investigation. Things are changing, and I don't want to jeopardize the identification of our juvenile. The girl was reported bound and drugged at some point during her captivity, but managed to escape. Authorities did not say whether the victim knew Pascal Reyes. I would say she's a hero, Abbott said. It's one of those things we won't get into until later. We gave her medical attention. He said she is safe now. We want to keep her that way. The sheriff said investigators have worked tirelessly over the past 24 hours. The assisting agencies include the Tallapoosa County District Attorney's Office, FBI, State Bureau of Investigation, Homeland Security, Dadeville Police Department, Dadeville Fire Department, the Camp Hill Police Department, Alexander City Police Department, Emergency Management Agency, the Department of Human Services, Resources and Advocacy, Child Advocacy Center. As of Tuesday afternoon, law enforcement officers remained on the scene at Pascal Reyes' home, processing it for further evidence. Tallapoosa County District Attorney Jeremy Dewar said Pascal Reyes is facing multiple counts of capital murder in connection with the bodies found in his home. Abbott said it appears Pascal Reyes had lived at the mobile since February. There were other people at the residence when law enforcement officers arrived. Repeat, other people were at the residence when law officials arrived, but the sheriff said he could not elaborate. It's horrendous to have a crime scene of this nature, he said. Al.com is the source. Update, it's now Thursday. He's in jail. He's not going anywhere. The victims is a boy child under 14, a mother. Suffocated the mother, beat the boy child with his feet and hands to death, dismembered them into pieces, and left them to die in there. Now, were they in a room, in boxes, bags? I don't know. That has not been revealed. But they were dismembered, the mother and the son. The girl child is related to the boy and the mother. That is her mother and brother. She was bound and weak, tied to a bed. They believe the motive for the kidnapping of the girl child was for sexual reasons. And they believe he killed the mother and brother as to hide evidence. So I'm assuming that evidence is related to the assault of the girl child. Thank you all so much. I will recap the initial story for those just now coming into the chat. Thank you for joining me. NBC News is the source. If you need to verify any of this information that I've brought to you, please go back to the beginning of this video where I give you information from Al.com, where 2 women are discussing what has transpired in Alabama. As you know, this is an ever-evolving story. You will get new pieces of information as law officials bring us The Source. The suspect is charged with the killings of Sandra Vasquez Ceja, 34, and a boy under 14. Let's recap a video so you can get a better understanding of what is going on. Thank you for joining me.
About a preteen girl wandering down a road in Tallapoosa County. Tonight, girl being called a hero, authorities say. They found 12-year-old Alabama girl being called a hero for escaping a horrifying kidnapping, held captive in her own home. Authorities say they found even more gruesome discoveries in that house, 2 decomposing bodies. One, her mother, and the other, her brother.
To have a crime scene of this nature and also a 12-year-old juvenile to deal with it is a horrendous situation.
Law enforcement officials say they got a report from a driver on Monday about a preteen girl wandering down a road in Tallapoosa County, northeast of Montgomery. The sheriff says she had not been reported missing.
We always say something, say something. We're very appreciative to the people that actually came forward.
She was taken to get medical treatment, and the sheriff's office launched an investigation. The criminal complaint lays out days of disturbing torture. The girl had been tied to bedposts where she was abused and kept incapacitated with alcohol, and she managed to escape only after chewing through her restraints, even damaging her braces in the process. Investigators arrested 37-year-old Jose Paulino Pascal Reyes after a grueling investigation.
They're tired but persevering. They've done an excellent job. You put away your tiredness, you put away everything else, and focus on having the results.
One of the victims has been identified as the suspect's girlfriend, Sandra Vasquez Ceja. Court documents allege Pascal Reyes smothered her to death with a pillow. The other victim was her child, identified only by his initials. Pascal Reyes is charged with capital murder of a child under 14 years old. The criminal complaint goes on to accuse Pascal Reyes of abusing a corpse in an attempt to hide the evidence. The county sheriff says the 12-year-old is now getting care and recovering.
She's a hero. Gave her medical attention, and she's safe now. And so we want to keep her that way.
All right, Stephen Romo joins us now live from our top story studio in New York. So, Stephen, I want to ask you, we know Jose Reyes has now spoken to authorities. He's under arrest. What has he said, or what hasn't he said?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's said very much, Tom. We know he did face a judge for the first time today, and it seems as though his court-appointed attorney has not been able to be reached by anyone yet for a comment on the situation. But just incredibly, at the core of this story, that 12-year-old girl's brave escape brought all of this to light, and who knows when that would have happened if it weren't for what she was able to do.
All right, everybody, that's information coming from NBC News. This is the first source I brought to you, but I didn't play that video. You now have heard the video. NBCnews.com is the source. I'm going to recap what I read to the chat initially during this live. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $sign Beganji, 129 Cash App. All stickers, chats are welcome. Thank you. Girl chewed through restraints and bold escape from week of captivity in Alabama. This was uploaded August 3rd. A kidnapped 12-year-old chewed through her restraints, breaking the braces on her teeth to escape a week of captivity in Alabama, investigators said Tuesday. Her escape led to deputies discovering the bodies of her slain mother and brother, who officials believe were killed by her mother's boyfriend, Tallapoosa County Sheriff Jimmy Abbott said Wednesday. She was found walking on an Alabama road Monday morning near the mobile home she shared with her mom, brother, and the suspect since February, Abbott said. A passing motorist stopped to help and stayed until authorities arrived and found the bodies a short time later, according to the sheriff. We tried to preach this. If you see something, you need to say something. Gee, where do y'all hear that from? Abbott said. You don't need to go down the road and say, what should I have done? And then you find out this happened, because I'm sure that there's more motorists who passed her that day, quote unquote. Pascal Reyes has been charged with kidnapping, 2 counts of murder, and 2 counts of corpse abuse, court records showed. He is accused of smothering Sandra Vasquez Ceja, 34, with a pillow and cutting her body into pieces in order to hide evidence, according to criminal complaints filed Wednesday. So excuse me when I said hiding evidence pertaining to the child, but I still believe he did that because he kept the child tied up to the bed. Why didn't he kill her? We're going to go into that here in a minute. The younger victim was identified in court papers only as a boy under 14. His death was caused by the suspect striking him with his hands and feet. So that means he beat, punched, kicked the boy to death. A complaint said his body was also cut into pieces in an alleged effort to cover up the crime, according to court documents. So that's 2 people killed. Mother suffocated and cut up. Boy beat to death with hands and feet, also cut up. The kidnapping and slayings happened July 24th with the abduction intended. Listen carefully. The kidnapping and slayings happened July 24th with the abduction intended to violate or abuse sexually, quote unquote, the complaint said. The 12-year-old had broken braces from chewing out of her restraints, authorities said, adding that deputies observed marks on the victim's wrist indicative of being restrained. The suspect on Wednesday faced a judge for the first time. He was ordered to remain in jail without bail. His court-appointed defense attorney could not be immediately reached for comment. The sheriff called the girl a hero and said this is one of the worst crimes he's seen in his 53 years in law enforcement. It's kind of hard to put into words, Abbott said Wednesday. All of them murders are bad, but this is horrendous. I've seen lots of homicides, and this is horrendous, quote unquote. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Let's get started. I'm almost an hour in. I think as I've brought you the said commentary pertaining to the information relayed by NBC News, Al.com, the obvious reasons for the kidnapping of the young girl and keeping her tied to the bed, drugged with alcohol, was to sexually violate her person. He killed her mother and brother as to be alone with this child. It's obvious. Because you're going to ask the obvious question. Why was the girl left alive? Why was she the only one alive? Why didn't he beat her, hurt her, tie her up, and then kill her? He did tie her up, but he didn't murder her. He left her there to have funny games with her. And when I use the word funny games, I mean any act that is atrocious to a human spirit, human body. We need not elaborate what he did and didn't do to her. You use your own imagination. The baffling part of this story, besides sexual assault of a child, tying her up, raping her, drugging her with alcohol, killing her mother and brother, then torturing them and hiding their body inside of this trailer where, I do not know, but common sense will tell you that they smell. And that others were in the trailer when authorities went to the damn trailer. So what the hell were these people doing there while all this was going on? Did they witness the assault of the mother and the brother and the girl? How long were they there? Who are they? Where are they from? Are they also illegal citizens? Boy, woman, child, men, women, what? How many people are we speaking of? How long have they been in the trailer? How long have they been living there? The girl child, boy child, and mother have been living with Mr. Reyes for months. February. Make sure I pronounce his name right, because you know I will mispronounce something. Excuse my manners. Yes, his last name is Reyes. He's got 4 damn names. Jose, Paulino Pascal Reyes, 37. The mother, 34. Where did they meet? How long were they dating? Who is this man to her children? Is he the father of one of her children? Do both of her children have the same father? We're going to ask all those questions. Why didn't anybody go to the trailer? Did anybody know she was living at the trailer with him? Where is she from? Is she a legal citizen? 9 times out of 10, her children are American born, because usually people pass over the border to give birth here so they can stay. We're going to keep that real. This is the very reason why our politicians and many United States citizens don't want illegal immigrants here, for this very reason, that when some shit pops off with committing crimes, they can vacate the premises and go run back to where they came from, or go hide out somewhere else in the United States. But Mr. Reyes did not hide out. He was found 29 minutes away from Dadeville, down in Auburn, Alabama, working at a construction site. You are entitled to your feelings about illegal immigrants. I'm not here to argue anything, because I don't argue about nothing. I will not. Because this case is evident of why everyone should be a United States citizen. But he was bold enough to not run. He said, I killed him. I sure did. I got him laid up in my house dead with a girl tied up to a bed, and I'm going to go on to work. I've been here God knows how long. I live here. I got a trailer. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't running nowhere, because ain't nobody came to look for her or her brother or her mother. Stay woke. You see, it takes all kinds of people to go on the run. I've told you all that in my commentary before. Every person is different. This suspect says, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. I'm an illegal alien with a job, a car, and a trailer in rural America, Alabama, and I ain't going nowhere. I have sexually assaulted a child. I have beat her brother to death. I have smothered her mother with a pillow. I have chopped them up into fine pieces and discarded them in my house with others staying there, and I ain't going nowhere. Now you put that on paper. Thank you for joining me. Well, we have vicious people in America. So it doesn't matter if they came from Mexico, South America, Europe, Africa, Iraq, it's all the same. You have vile people all over the world. Vile Americans, vile Europeans. People are just vile. The location doesn't mean anything. Because what just happened in Alabama goes on in the UK, it goes on in France, it goes on in Iraq, Afghanistan, it goes on everywhere. Africa, it's all the same. China, Japan, Taiwan. Location has no bearing on filth. These are filthy people. He just happened to be an illegal alien living here in the United States, and he got caught for his crimes by the grace of God. That little girl was able to make it out of there. So let's be thankful. She chewed her way through her restraints, whatever they were, and went on that country road to safety. And a kind woman stopped, I believe it was a woman, picked her up and called 911. As the sheriff said, if you see something, say something. How many people rode by her and didn't stop? Amen. 4, 5, 6, 7, what? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. She's walking. But somebody said something ain't right. Who knows what she was wearing when she was out there walking? Could have been bleeding. They said she was hit in the head. So somebody looked. Uh-oh, wait a minute. This don't look right. Let me pick this child up. And thank God somebody picked her up. And the truth has come out. Let's chop up who the other people were that was at the house. Just 1 second. Got some information I want to share via another platform. Thank you all so much for joining me. 77 watching. God bless all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Well, maybe. Who's to say? Yes, God bless the lady who passed by. Let's talk about the people in the house. 79 viewing, amen. 52 thumbs up. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe to Everyday Shenanigans. The dream is real. Who are the people that were in the house? Who are the people that were in the house when authorities came to investigate? It is now a crime scene. So where are those people now going to stay? Who are they? How long have they been living in that trailer with Mr. Reyes? Are they friends, family? Are they illegal? Are some actual citizens? Were there other children staying there? Does he have children, Mr. Reyes? What country is he from? How long has he been in this country? Where are they from? What country are they from? How long have they been in the United States? Once again, are they illegal or are they citizens? Were there children in that trailer that were legal, illegal? How long were you staying in that trailer with them dead bodies? How about that? How long were you in that trailer with those dead bodies plus the assault of a girl child, raped the child, and killed her mama and her brother? You all have got to see how bad this is. You see, this is what I keep telling you all out here. You don't know people. Because guess what? Beside Reyes being a sexual predator, he worked, had a job, had a place to live, and he knew people who would sit in his filth and his depravity and said nothing. Bingo card. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? Because somebody ain't listening. Other people aided him because nobody called officials, ding, 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 to say he killed these people and they're dead in here and chopped up, and there's a little girl in here tied to a bed. So how long have they been in the trailer? When did they come stay in the trailer? Did they know somebody else is in there dead, chopped up, and a little girl's tied up in a room? Stay woke. Because a lot of you don't realize that there are other people just as heinous as the suspect. I keep telling you, there's always somebody that knows something somebody done. Don't ever think somebody ain't went out there and told somebody, yeah, I touched him or her. Yeah, I violated him or her. Yeah, I stole from him. Yeah, I killed them. Yeah, I stole that car. Yeah, I did the carjacking. And nobody says a word. You know they knew. Have you ever smelled death? Anybody in the chat? Well, I'm going to say this because it's been said 1,000 times. That it is a smell that you will never forget. And that you know the smell when you smell it. This comes from law officials. That's why when they go onto a scene, they already know the smell without having to see the remains. That's from experience. I can say many moons ago when I lived in a high-rise apartment building, a neighbor had passed away and was left in his apartment for probably about a week or so or more. I, out of curiosity, went up on that said floor, just curious. I walked by his apartment door, and there was a stench coming from that apartment and that floor. And let me tell you, it wasn't no joke. And I remember sitting outside the day cleaners came to clean his apartment because he was found on the floor leaning up against the wall and had died in that position. Obviously, he had used the restroom on himself. So the women coming out had clear plastic bags with the broom inside of the bag, mop or whatever, and you could see it was dark inside of the bag. Now imagine what they saw. Cleaning up the remains of another human being. You see what I'm saying? What I saw in the bag was horrible, and that's just from feet away. And I'm sure you never get that image out of your head. One, seeing a decomposing body. Two, going in afterwards to go clean up what was left behind by the decomposing body. Now imagine the people who had to go into this trailer and find those bodies. Where were the bodies? In a closet? In a spare room? Where were they? What were they in? This is ridiculous to even have to even be talking about this. But this is why you know there's a lot of things going on in this country that you have no idea what's going on. You're driving by people's homes, properties, rural homes, trailers. You have no idea what's going on inside of there. You have no idea that there's somebody held up, tied up to a bed. That's a child that chewed their way through the restraints, broke their braces to free herself. You didn't know that. You didn't know that there were some other goons sitting up in there, watched all this possibly, and ain't went and told nobody. Because what? You need a place to stay? So you're willing to sit up in a stinky trailer to have a place to sleep? So while you're eating your Cheerios and your pizza, you're smelling a dead person that's chopped up in another damn room. And that's not including the girl tied up in the other room being sexually assaulted, because I doubt he just had her tied up for sure. So that means you're hearing him assault a little girl. You don't know people. And as Chris Thorne said earlier during the live, it amazes him how women bring people into the fold with their children, move men and women into their house with their children, and you don't know anything about him. And we get it. Everybody gets lonely. You want companionship. You want a mate, but you cannot rock as a single person when you have children. How a person rocks single, you can't rock with kids. You can end up dead, abused, scammed, single. Now, you got children and you're bringing in some random bloke in your house. You don't know anything about him. You don't know anything about her. You're bringing some flap-ass woman in your house. You don't know about her, where she been. And now you're bringing them in the house with your kids. Now imagine finding out they done something like this and you had them in your house. You don't know nothing about them. Now imagine what Reyes has done somewhere else. Stay woke. Imagine he's touched other little girls. And he just happened to find a lucky victim, Sandra, and her children. And he's been touching that little girl. And who's to say that finally the mother found out on that fateful day, and it all hell broke loose in that house. What happened in that house? Who said what to whom? Was he touching the little girl? She cried out. Or the mother walked in on him. Or maybe the little girl told her. And maybe she confronted him. Hey, you've been touching my little girl. Woo, woo, woo. Let me tell you about that. Let's hypothesize for a second. If you're staying with somebody and you find out they have been touching your child, the first thing you do is leave their house with your children. You never confront a person about a heinous crime face to face. Ever. Ever. Because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to find you alive. I think we know this now from this story. You go to the authorities, let the police talk to your child, and let them bring forth the charges. And then if you decide that you want to go to the jail and have a one-on-one chat with the abuser, then you do so. Thank you, Earth Dog. Thank you so much. But you never confront a person about rape, sodomy, murder, face to face, ever. Ever. No difference if you were a woman, you found out something about your mate, your husband. You are alone and you're going to confront somebody and say, oh, I think you've been killing people. Oh, I found a dead person back in the garage, in the attic. What are they doing down there? Oh my gosh, you're a killer. How do you think that's going to end? Are you listening? You don't ever confront a sadist about anything unless you are talking to him or her via a cell phone. And you have no plans of ever going back in their peripheral. Because you should know they will knock you off as well. And that's possibly what happened on that fateful day in July. She confronted him about messing with that little girl. And I think it's obvious from what they've said that that is the motive, to sexually abuse child. So 9 times out of 10, he's been touching her or penetrating her. And something came to a head on that fateful day, July 24th. What was it? Was he confronted by the mother? Did she see something, hear something? Did the child say something to her? Did the little boy see something, hear something, confront him? Or did he just on that day decide, I don't want to be bothered with the mother and brother any longer. I want the little girl to myself. And he went in, suffocated the mother with a pillow, beat the child to death with his feet and hands, chopped them both up, and left them to decompose inside of his trailer. Where did he leave them to decompose? How horrific this must have been for the girl child to witness, I'm assuming, the murder of her mother and her brother, to know that they have been dismembered and cut up and left to decompose in the same place where she is now alone with a predator, and to also be sexually assaulted, tied up, and drugged with alcohol day for day. And the topper, you've got eyewitnesses left behind in the trailer as well. So that means these other participants either watched and participated. And who's to say they didn't participate in the deaths and dismemberment of the mother and the brother? Stay woke. Because if you are bold enough to lie in death, you're also bold enough to participate in the murder. No such thing as being scared. You know how to walk out. You are grown. If these are adults, they should have left the house. He can't watch everybody because you see he held down a job. So once again, where did he work? Who does he work for? Does he work for a corporation company or does he have his own company? And it's obvious they didn't fear for their safety because he was not there when the police came to the house. Are y'all not listening? They were there at the house when the little girl escaped. So that means you had free will to run out such as the child did. So there was no fear. I doubt there was fear. If the child had enough sense to chew through restraints and break her own damn braces, why are you a grown-up sitting in there? And by the grace of God, nobody tried to stop her. Perhaps they were all asleep. That is how she was able to escape. She waited. She chewed. She waited. She chewed. And when he went to work and the others were possibly sleeping and she was able to free herself, she made her escape. Because let's think of what's obvious. Why wouldn't someone stop her? If they're sick enough to aid a murderer and child molester, they're sick enough to try to restrain her from leaving the house. I'm done. Chris Storms talks about children cases every day of child abuse and neglect. I have refrained from talking about children cases due to all the negativity that comes about talking about missing children, abused children. As I've told the chat, I only will talk about cases that I have already covered, updates. But I do not talk about children cases for this very reason. It brings about problems, and it's just vile commentary. I talk about other true crime, such as adults being murdered, missing, tortured, or just, various topics, entertainment, whatever floats my boat on that given day. But I don't like talking about children because there's no reason for me to have to be discussing someone violating a child, somebody abusing a child. And I don't make excuses for people who abuse children. And that is the reason why a lot of people don't care for my commentary. And I'm going to go ahead and say that, and I'm going to check out of here. I don't care. I don't care. I'm never going to aid an abuser. I don't care that you didn't molest your child. I don't care that you didn't touch your child. But the day that you allow another human being to hurt your child in any form of fashion, anybody did anything to your child, push your child, stomp on your child, break your child's leg, you are no different than somebody that touched the child inappropriately. You're all in the same boat to me. You aided somebody not to be apprehended in abusing your child. You are cut from the same cloth, and that is how I rock. So if you're looking for a network that aids abusers, I'm not your cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I sleep good at night. And God has brought me a mighty long way. So I must be doing something right for him to have favored me to 51. And I will never, as I told a relative yesterday, pertaining to Cal City, you don't know the story, you don't know what's going on. And I am never going to ever aid anybody that abused a child, whether they had custody, lost custody, never. Because this is what I'm saying. Every story has a start. So if you start abusing your child, the children leave your custody, they go on to another place, something happens to the child. How are you different than where they ended up? Because what people don't want to accept is that once the child has been removed from the state's care, there was a possibility that they could have ended up dead at their own home. That's the reason why the state took them out of there. So what's the difference from A to B? Oh, because they ended up dead here? To me, there's no difference. Abuse is abuse. And some of you don't understand that. And that leads me to believe that some of you are wicked and you need help. Abuse is abuse. Whether it's in the parent's home, children are removed and gone over to another relative's house, state's care. Abuse is abuse. And I don't aid abuse no matter where it originated or where it ended. I thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Stay safe. I will be back with more commentary. I would like to bring you a part 2 to Lisa's story, the woman who shared her story via a Facebook post. I do communicate with this certain person. These are her allegations of her marriage to a man who has cheated on her and is no longer in her house with she and her children. And I'm going to bring a part 2 to her story because I think some of you might want to hear the latest update pertaining to the story. She is now being harassed by the husband's lover. We will chop that up here shortly. I will take a brief break, and I thank you all for joining me. I also got some information pertaining to Breonna Taylor. One second. Let me search that right quick because I got a notification about that. Wait 1 second. And I will probably do a short on that. 4 current former Louisville police officers federally charged in Breonna Taylor's death. This was uploaded by CNN 50 minutes ago. Amen. God is good. He's a way maker. whatever happens, we will just roll with the said information. I will bring you content pertaining to that in an uploaded video, but the next live will be pertaining to Lisa, her adulterous husband. And I also will bring content of a crime vault either today or tomorrow. Please check my community board for the movie of the week. It is a Lifetime movie. I believe it is based on actual events. Thank you. 67 thumbs up to 67 in the house. God bless you. Thank you all so much for the love. Please pray for this young girl in Alabama. Her predator kidnapper is locked up with no bail, facing 3 counts of capital murder. The 2 counts are for the 2 decedents, the brother and the mother, and the abuse of the corpse of the bodies. We will also pray that the people who are in the house, that they also are arrested because they lied there knowing something was amiss in that trailer. And there's no way they can say they didn't know that something was wrong in that trailer because there were dead bodies in there decomposing and a girl child tied up to a bed. As the sheriff said, if you see something, say something. Don't go down the road and holler later after the news breaks, oh, what should I have done or what could I have done? You could have stopped and picked that little girl up. That's what you could have done. Anybody that knew that Reyes was a predator, you should have called authorities. Anybody that has had access to him with their children and your children were molested, you should have said something. You were accosted by him, sexually assaulted by him, you should have said something. You hired him knowing he's illegal, you're wrong. Oh, did you hear that? Oh, did you hear that? Hell yeah, you need to be a legal citizen. I'm legal. I have a current driver license, current social security card. And I believe all citizens should be legal in this country. That's my personal opinion. And it wouldn't have mattered if this story ever broke. That's my personal opinion. Whether it was a crime or not of an illegal alien. No one should be here and not legal. Because I can't go to Paris and live. I can't go to London and live. I can't go to Canada and just set up soil and live. People have done it, but I would prefer to do it the legal way. Apply for citizenship. That's the reason why we have the crime we have, because we have people that are undocumented, and when something jumps off, there's no trail because they don't have no legal documentation. They don't have no name, no real name, no fingerprints on nothing. So you don't know who you're chasing. And then they move to another place and set up camp after they've accosted somebody over here, robbed somebody over here, beat somebody over here, molested somebody over here, sexually assaulted somebody over here, killed somebody over here. So now authorities are running around scrambling like rats trying to find a ghost. This is serious business. And that is the reason why our country is in the shape that it's in with all the crimes, is because we keep giving people passes. Passes to hurt, passes to harm, passes to offend. And Alabama is a state known to give bail bonds. Let me make that clear. From my previous commentary, please check out my library because I have many videos pertaining to the state of Alabama and its atrociousness in giving offenders bonds. That's why Anaya Blanchard is not alive, because her offender had been given so many bonds. And he was out that same year from assaulting an elderly man and his friend at a hotel. And a black judge, female, gave him bond, knowing his criminal history. And to this day, nobody can understand where the money was coming from to make these big bonds. That was attempted murder of an elderly man, damn near 80 years old. And when police pulled over the car on the interstate, they said they couldn't even believe the man was alive. That's how severely beaten he was. Robbed and beaten, him and his friend, from a motel. He was taking that man and guy to dump their body. And luckily, somebody on the interstate saw the car weaving and called Highway Patrol. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Imagine had no one called. They would have dumped that man and his friend. But some crazy bat gave him a bond. And I signed the petition to have her removed from the bench because she does not deserve to be a judge. Because you are what's a part of this problem. You are the judge, and you are no different than the offender to let him roam because he later kidnapped Anaya Blanchard from a convenience store, shot her, and dumped her body off a highway in the woods. Had you remanded him, Anaya Blanchard would be alive today, Miss Lady. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. God bless this 12-year-old child. God bless the family of this young girl, mother and brother. Because now somebody has to bury a mother and a boy child. Somebody also has to now take care of this child. Don't even know if she has family in the area or even in the United States. Don't even know if she's a legal citizen. I don't have that information, but when I get it, I will bring it to you. This is horrific. This is macabre at best. And the gist of the story, it's not the only story. There will be more stories because we have wicked souls here. And you don't know what's going on in people's homes, trailers, houses. She's just the lucky one that got away. Thank you for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.